Hey everyone, welcome back to Misa Motion. We have another really cool effect this week and we're going to create it together. No mom, I'm not smoking. This is CGI and we are going to create ring smoke.
Not measured by what you receive, but the kindness you give.
Alright, so as usual, we are going over the Houdini file and see how I created this. I'm going to show you the steps. And I already put the HIP file for you in the Gumroad. So the link is in the description. Don't forget to get that as well if you feel like you don't want to create it all by yourself. This effect is for intermediate users of Houdini, meaning that if you have like an intermediate kind of knowledge with Houdini, it will be pretty easy for you to follow along and create this effect. Especially you will need some kind of knowledge with Pyro simulations. And since it's an intermediate tutorial, I'm not gonna go over all the notes. I assume that you already know the basics of Houdini. So I'm just gonna go over and show you some tips and tricks, and you already have the HIP file. So I think it's gonna be okay. Before diving into Houdini, I want to show you some references that I got from internet on how to create this kind of effect. And you see it's kind of twisted and complicated, but the first tip is that you don't have to do these simulations all in one top network, so you can break this down. And as you can see here in the Houdini file, that's exactly what I've done. So we have our base ring, obviously, so it's just a torus turned into VDB, and we have the trails here. So these are just the trail smoke of that ring. And here we have some details around the ring and for the trail to make it more realistic. And here we have some details for the ring itself. Now, if you merge all of this together, you'll see that we have a really nice ring smoke. Okay, let's go on the top. We are starting with a torus and I'm animating it, both the scale and its position on z-axis. So we get something like this. And then I'm adding a mounting node. This is already ready to be converted to volume and be used as our base ring. And to do that, I'm just doing it with a VDB from Polygon with the fog VDB checked on. All right, so that's it with our base ring. I'm gonna go over this tray simulation and show you how I've done this. All right, so after the mounting node, I'm putting an attribute WAP, and in here, I'm just getting the point number and storing it into a point attribute. As you can see here, the name is num. After that, with an attribute promote node, I'm getting the maximum number of the num and stored it into a detail. Then I'm running this wrangle node. I'm gonna show you what is the purpose of this in a bit. And then I'm adding much more value to the velocity, and here we have our points from volume. So basically this whole process is to get velocity, but I wanted this velocity to be any like inward direction of the torus, like torus is swirling into itself. If you can see in the references here, there is some kind of movement like this around the torus. Now there are many different kind of ways that you can achieve this, but I wanted to do it with a wrangle node to also show you some tips and tricks that so you would know the amount of possibilities that you have with the wrangle node and some vex coding. Don't be afraid of vex coding, it's fantastic after you are comfortable with it. So what I'm doing here, I have a num, which is our point number, and I have the maximum amount of the numbers. So let's check this wrangle node. If I turn on the point number and zoom into point number 1, okay, here it is. It took me a long time to find it, and I've also changed this value from 377 to 100 because it's gonna be easier for you to understand the concept. So basically what I want to get, I want to have kind of velocity along the ring like this, right? So my velocity value would be a subtract of two positions of points. Now, which of these positions do you think it's gonna give me that kind of velocity? So for example, for the velocity for point 0, I would want the subtract between position 100 and 0. And for velocity of point 100, I would need subtraction of point 200 with point 100. So this is basically what we want to achieve with this wrangle now. So first thing I'm doing here is getting that maximum number of the points, which here should be 4,991. Then I'm doing a if condition here. And so basically I'm saying that, hey, look at the point number that you are in now. So for example, point number 1. If it's less than the maximum number minus the columns of the torus. So our columns, I'm getting it here. If you check, this number is passed to this value and I'm getting it in the code. So 4,999 minus 100 is 4,899 plus 1. It's going to give me 4,900. Then I want the velocity to be the subtraction of the point that you are, so our number 1 here, and the point 100 units higher. So point 101, the point next to it. But this 100, to make it procedural, I'm doing it like this. So I'm passing the columns number, and whatever value I put for this column number, I will get the same velocity here, because now our columns are 200. So the subtraction between point 1 and point 201, as you can see, it's 1 and the point next to it is 201. So whatever value I put for the column, it's gonna be all right. Now there is no need for a if condition. If I wanted to get this, I would just put it outside, but no. Check the point before 0. So as you can see here, we have point number 4,900. Now I've again put it into 100. So we are 100 away from 5,000. And so I wanted also a velocity for these fields too. So this if condition is only choosing the points that are here. So from 1, 0 ring to the end, to the last ring here. So this one, this edge, it is actually choosing only those points. So whatever point is on this edge is out of this condition. But we also want to do something with those. So else here, if they are not in this condition, meaning that if they are on this edge, then create the velocity based on these points. I want you to go to the edge next. So here I'm getting the point number again with this attribute num. So let's say we are in point 4,900. Then I'm subtracting the maximum number, so 4,999 with our column numbers, which is gonna be 4,899. So with this number, it's gonna give me -1. And then I'm adding another one to make the code working. And the result here is gonna be 0, which 0 is the point next to our point number 4,900. And then just subtract it with our own point, which is 4,900, and with the subtraction of 0 and 4,900, we're gonna get the same velocity here as well. Now I know that was really confusing. Me myself blown my mind, try to write this code, but it worked it. If you figure out these kind of challenges, then you will be more comfortable with Vex code and you can do crazy things. And for this specific approach, there are many other ways. You could create a sweep with 2 circles and rotate one of the circles and get the velocity based on trail node for that one. There are many kind of approaches that you can get, but I wanted to show you guys this approach so you would have some little challenges. After all, Houdini is all challenges, so we are always solving problems. And if you are a beginner for Houdini, just get used to it. Just enjoy this kind of problems and solving them. All right, so after that, I'm multiplying this velocity by a very high value. I'm getting points from volume here, and then I'm transferring those velocities that we got to the points here. So these are our velocities that are looking nice, exactly the way that we want it. Now after that, there are the formalities of creating a Pyro simulation. Again, I'm assuming that you already know how to do this. I'm not gonna go over them, but basically I'm using three sources. One is the ring velocity. So here I'm just rasterizing the velocity. I'm also rasterizing density, of course, but I'm using only the velocity of this source. And then I'm using the same torus here, and this one is just for emitting the smoke. So after the points from volume, I have a trail, I added some velocity here and a minus z axis. Then I'm doing a density noise to get more variation, noisy kind of ring. After all, we already have our base ring, so for this ring I don't want it to be perfectly fine. And again here I'm doing another density noise and just fixing this source on frame 1020. So yeah, we have this guy here. Now this one is for kind of puff effect at first, and I'm just ending it some frame later. In the dub simulation, we are bringing those three sources, and I'm doing some gas turbulence here and one gas axis force. Then I guess everything is pretty default and simple. After the cache, you would have something like this. Now here, those velocities that we almost killed ourselves to make is not really visible. But I'm doing the same procedure here with the ring detail simulation. So I'm getting the same velocity field and then rasterizing it, but I'm not moving this one. So this is just at its place. So I'm getting this one from the scale animation. So it has the scale animation, but it's not moving. Now let me check if I'm doing something in the simulation. No, just two turbulence nodes, and yeah, but I also have divergence here to make it more expanded. So this simulation, we can see that the velocity that we created is more visible. So you see these swirls on the ring. Exactly that was the point of creating those velocities. So last thing, I'm getting a trail detail. Now for this one, after Pyro source, I'm adding more velocity noise, and then in the simulation I'm changing this dissipation number to a very high value. Also we have our gas axis force again here, and I have animated the velocity value and density value so it will reduce over time, you see here. And this simulation is gonna give us just some extra detail for the trail smoke like this. So the main difference between this simulation and our trail simulation is that I'm not using this density noise any longer, because I wanted to have that kind of ring shape for this one. So you see we have a much more visible ring in this one and some nice detailed trails. And this is the whole setup together. Alright, so this tutorial is getting long enough. I'm going over the render settings pretty fast and show you how I achieve the look. So here I'm bringing my smokes, each one of them in a different sub import, because I want to apply different materials to each one of them. And basically the material isn't that much different, but the density value is different. So one of them, which is the base ring, is more dense and the detail is less dense. So again, back to our references, you can see that the ring is pretty dense, but the trails are not. Alright, so these are all our materials. So I'm putting the shadow density for our base ring to 2. The density value is on 1. For our details, it's again the same thing. And for the detail trail, I'm putting this value very low, so 0.25, and the shadow density is again on 2. For trailer smoke, I'm putting it on 0.5, and the shadow density is on 1. So that's all the materials. But before that, I'm adding a Karma fog box. So this is the area that I want the fog. As for the lightings, I'm using 2 spotlights. So one is here at the bottom with this direction, and the other one is here at the top in this direction. And for dome light, I'm using a HDRI map from Polyheaven website, which I'm going to put it next to your HIP file. When you download, you would have everything. And at the end, I'm just doing some lens tweak to our camera, basically adding some lens curvature and some vignetting, and we are done. So let's check our camera. This is our angle, and let's check the render. Alright, so this is our ringless mode tutorial. Don't forget to like this video if you found it useful, and please subscribe so you won't miss out every week tutorial with Houdini. And please share this video with your Houdini fellas who you think would find this tutorial useful. And I wanted to mention that this effect was cool, but smoking is not. So stay healthy, hit the gym, and see you next time.
Blessings will return to you just in time.